I think the downside is limited in my opinion, and the upside is... All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk about a company called CORZ Scientific, stock ticker CORZ. CORZ Scientific is a Bitcoin mining company. We cover the Bitcoin mining companies quite a bit on this channel, so if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And of course, everybody, please smash the like button for us. Also, feel free to drop a comment below. And you will see in our pinned comment, we have a link to our free Discord. So we have over 500 people in there now. It's a great conversation. You're welcome to come join us. Okay, let's get to CORZ Scientific. CORZ Scientific announced their earnings yesterday after the bell. So what I want to do is go through their press release and go through their financial statements and talk about what they reported, what they're forecasting, talk about valuation on this company, and really dig in and see what's going on here. And then we're going to take a look at the chart. So as you can see, CORZ trading at $8.66. It's still early in the trading day. It's not particularly high volume. The market is not having a big reaction to this earnings report one way or the other. And there really were not any big surprises in there. There's just a massive amount of information. This mining company is built differently than the other mining companies. And there's a lot of differences between the mining companies, but this one has a bunch of unique things going on that require a little bit of a deeper dive to really get to the bottom of what's going on. Okay, so let's go to the press release. All right, CORZ Scientific announces full fiscal year 2021 results. Now remember, this was a private company that merged with a SPAC in January of 2022. So here's some of the highlights. Total revenue increased by 803% to $544 million. We're going to dig into that because that is a little bit misleading in my opinion. Gross profit increased by 2,443% to $238.9 million. That is less misleading because I will tell you the vast majority of their gross profit comes from their mining. So they did ramp that up massively in 2021, and we'll look at those numbers. Net income increased to $47.3 million. Net income at this stage in a company with the massive amount of ramping up they're doing, to put it in perspective, I mean, they 20x'd their exahash in 2021, and they're looking to triple that again in 2022. Adjusted EBITDA increased 3,849% to $238.9 million. Self-mining operations increased BTC production 350% to 5,769 Bitcoin. They held 5,269 Bitcoin at year end, so they held the vast majority of what they produced. Total hash rate is 13.5 exahash. Now it's important to distinguish. They have two different types of machines running. Machines that they own and they're actually mining themselves, and machines that they're hosting and they're getting hosting revenue. So out of this 13.5 exahash, 6.6 exahash was self-mining at December 31st, 2021, making them by far the biggest in North America at that time. They also hosted another 6.9 exahash, and we'll get into their 2022 goals, which they're well on the way to. And again, they're looking to triple their self-mining exahash or more. Okay, so let's break it down by segment. So the first one is total hosting revenue increased by $37.7 million or 91%. to $79 million in 2021 from $41.6 million in 2020. Okay, then they have a bunch of revenue. Total equipment sales increased by $235.6 million or 1,871% to $248.2 million in 2021, up from $12.6 million in 2020. The increase was driven by higher demand for new generation mining equipment. Now, I will tell you, I can't find them anywhere else talking about selling equipment. They talk about their 2022 forecast, they talk about revenue and earnings, and this does not seem to be a part of the equation going forward. So if they do that, they did make some money selling this equipment, and perhaps they are still going to buy and sell equipment to the people that they're hosting, but I don't know. So that's why when earlier I said the $544 million of revenue was misleading, $235 million of this was sale of equipment. That has nowhere near the gross profit margin of Bitcoin mining, and they really don't seem to mention it at all on a going forward basis. So it really doesn't make that much of a difference to their profitability going forward, whether they do this or not. It affects the top line quite a bit. However, even if they lose all of this revenue. I expect them to make up for that and then some with Bitcoin mining revenue in 2022. So they're expecting, and I'm expecting, their revenue to go up substantially even without any equipment sales. And again, I don't know for sure that they're not going to do this. I'm just saying there is no mention of it at all. Okay, then we get to the real one. Digital asset mining income increased $210.8 million, or 3,440%, to $216.9 million in 2021 from $6.1 million in 2020. The year-over-year growth in mining income was driven by our increase in self-mining hash rate and higher Bitcoin prices. Our self-mining hash rate increased 1,772% to 6.6 exahash at December 31st, 2021. And that is up from 0.35 exahash in 2020. So you can see they were really not even mining Bitcoin in 2020. They were at 1/3 of 1 exahash. Okay, so before we get to the financials, I want to talk about outlook. In 2022, the company expects to achieve total hash rate between 40 exahash and 42 exahash, with total power between 1,200 megawatts and 1,300 megawatts. So out of this 40 to 42 exahash, they expect it to be split pretty much down the middle between self-mined machines and hosted machines. But that would bring their self-mining to 20 exahash. So they will have gone from 0.3 exahash in 2020 to 6.6 exahash in 2021, and they're looking to go to 20 exahash in 2022. So this is monstrous growth. Daily production reporting. Core Scientific anticipates providing daily Bitcoin production beginning early in April of 2022, which is basically next week. So we've been getting monthly reports from all the Bitcoin miners, which is outstanding. Core Scientific is now talking about showing us on a daily basis how many Bitcoin they mined, and they mine quite a bit of Bitcoin every day. I think they were at 35 Bitcoin a day last month, and I expect that to continue to increase throughout the year. So there's going to be no mystery here on Core Scientific. We're going to see exactly what they're doing. I want to show you a few things from their earning presentation. So the first thing is Core Scientific mined more Bitcoin in the last 3 months than any other publicly traded digital asset miner. So you can see they mined 3,102 Bitcoin in the fourth quarter of 2021. The next closest was Riot at 1,319. Marathon was just a few Bitcoin behind them, basically the same at 1,307, then it drops off from there. So this is one of the things I feel like isn't really truly understood. Core Scientific is multiples larger than the competition right now. Now, Riot and Marathon have big plans. Marathon in particular plans on pretty much catching all the way up to Core Scientific by the beginning of 2023. And Riot has some big expansion plans as well. So again, we'll have to see how the year goes. But right now, they are far, far ahead. And they're mining between double and triple the next closest competitor each month. So the more months they get to do that throughout the year, the more Bitcoin they get to put on their balance sheet. And obviously, that's a good thing going forward. And then I think this slide is very important. This talks about good progress towards achieving the 2022 goals. So they have these very lofty goals. And there are an awful lot of companies that are putting out press releases with gigantic estimates for 2022 and 2023 and beyond, all the way to 2025. But if you look at this chart right here, at the end of the year 2021, they already had 13.5. So they have another 23.2 that they're saying hash rate from miners ordered and hosting contracted in 2021 to install in 2022. So that just leaves 4.3 hash rate more that they need in order to reach 41 exahash, which is their midpoint between the 40 and 42 estimate. So it looks like they already have a plan to get to where they're going. I will tell you, on their self-mine machines, I think their plan is a lot more solid. On their hosting machines, they do have some hosting relationships that potentially may fall through. I can't say this with any certainty, but they are planning on hosting all of any new miners, and it is yet to be seen whether or not those will get to market or not. So again, I don't have any inside information on that. It's just possible that some of their potential hosting that they're hoping to add won't happen. However, you're going to see they make all their money in their self-mined Bitcoin. The hosting just allows the company to continue to scale up. I would not be surprised to see them hit their self-mining hash rate goals and miss their hosting hash rate goals. But again, that should have not a big effect on their overall profitability. Okay, I just want to show the breakdown of revenue because going forward, this is going to change dramatically. This year they had $544 million of revenue. $62 million was hosting from customers. Another $17 million was hosting revenue from related parties. So that's just under $80 million in hosting revenue. But you'll see their cost of hosting was $77.6 million. That's not really a profit center for them. Again, I believe that they do this to allow themselves to ramp up their facilities to scale so that they can have more of their own Bitcoin mining machines. And they seem to be doing that quite effectively. Okay, then we have equipment sales, sales to customers and related parties. That was about $245 million this year. I don't know what that's going to be next year. The cost of that was $177 million, so there was some gross profit, but it's at nowhere near the gross profit percent that their self-mining machines are working at. I'm not counting that as anything in 2022. I think they're going to get to where they're going just with their self-mining and their hosting. That's all they talk about in their press release, so I expect that's what they'll be doing. So you can see where they really make their money. Digital asset mining income. This is their 6.6 exahash of mining that they had at the end of the year. Digital asset mining income of almost $217 million. And again, the vast majority of that was in the fourth quarter. So I would expect all 4 quarters this year to beat the fourth quarter of last year, some possibly significantly. Next year's income statement, this number will dominate. Instead of being 40% of their income, this could be 80 or 90% of their income. Their cost of digital assets mined was $50 million against $217 million. That's about a 75% gross profit, and that includes amortization and depreciation. So I think you could be looking at financial statements next year that have a very big bottom line number, 10 times what this year's was potentially. Okay, let's finish up by taking a quick look at the chart. All right, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the chart because you can see they just started publicly trading on January 20th, so there's only about 2 months worth of data. They've been trading in a very narrow range. They did drop down on January 24th, which was the date almost all the Bitcoin miners hit their low for the year. They then had another big drop off on March 1st. You can see this giant red candle. They announced they were going to end their lockup period early. That had people very concerned. It turned out to be pretty much a non-event. There was no mass sell-off, which was the fear. So it's kind of recovered up to $8.61. But what I will say is this company has a market cap of $2.7 billion. That is less than Marathon's market cap, and it seems to be wildly out of proportion based on the size company they are. A lot of these SPACs take some time to get their footing from a stock price standpoint, so it will be a very interesting year to see where this stock price goes. If they can execute the plan that they're talking about, a $2.7 billion market cap makes no sense at all. This is a company that could potentially be less than their top line revenue number in 2022. So I think this will adjust over time. I have a price target of $15 personally. And again, this is not financial advice. You've got to do your own due diligence. This is a different kind of Bitcoin mining company, and they are in massive, massive growth mode. I put 15, which is a little less than a double. But depending on how things go, if they can execute their plan as stated, the sky's the limit on this one. So I think the downside is limited in my opinion, and the upside is huge. So again, not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence and make your own buying decisions. That's all I got on CORZ Scientific. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.